So here we see Pekko's super fast pit stops. Scotty clearly doesn't want to mention me at all. So it was just silence whenever I was there. So thankfully, Charlie was there. So this was towards the end of the main. Two things, really. So line choice. Line choice was one thing. I figured that I wasn't going to really do this triple, just double single. And in the middle, there was a smooth part. I didn't hit it every time, but when I didn't, I made sure that I didn't gas it too much so that the car wouldn't get too upset. Because when I did, I had issues. So this back section here, this right-hander, there were some ruts here. And this is one of those sections where I would have liked to have the rear shock stood up more. The reason is that if I tried to push through this section, it really upset the car a lot. So I was really careful here. I did that. I tried different lines, but figured the best would be to just go slowly and keep it tight here. Now, I think that the reason for the car not being that good here was because the rear was too soft. So when I went slowly, it didn't compress much and it had a lot of suspension travel to handle the bumps. And of course, I was going slower. As soon as I pushed more, it would compress because I was cornering and on throttle. So it would compress so much that there wasn't enough suspension travel to take care of the bumps. And then it would get unsettled. So this would be one section where I thought that raising the rear shock would be better. And over here, my car was really good. I could really sort of go anywhere. This hole, I was careful to not flip. Here, I was confident, always drove around the holes, but that was the goal. But like there, you saw, I hit the holes, but it didn't really matter. I just stayed on power. This left-hander before the finish. I went too tight, went through the holes, but I stayed on power and it was fine. And then going on to the straight, in warm-up, I tried a couple of different lines. But I think that the safest for me was to go slow and go tight. Now, if I had had a race and I noticed that someone else was taking a different line and going faster, or just going faster in that section, then I would have changed up or taken a bigger risk. But I didn't need to. So then I never had an issue here in the whole race. And that's something that a lot of drivers, even some of the best who offend themselves very often, I don't know if it's overconfidence or if it's a lack of sort of race craft in a sense. But as a driver, you have to know where to place your car, and you also have to know where you should play it safe and where you should risk it or risk it a bit. So this was one section where I didn't feel like I needed to go any faster. So why? I just played safe. So I would just, go to the very inside. I would brake even a bit and then get on the power slightly to go through the bumps and then straight. And I stayed to the inside because yes, I could go faster, but if I go faster here, it's again higher risk. For what reward? Not much really. So I tried to keep it tight here. There was a hole in this double jump if you went in the middle and the car wouldn't jump as much, or if you were unlucky, it would get somehow unsettled. So I just jumped to the inside. Very few people were jumping that far to the inside. And also then back here. So there was a bump somewhere here. And when you watch the main, you can see Fend hit it twice, I think. One time he spun out, one time he flipped over. And this was the kind of section where I again wonder that, is it just confidence or what is it? Because there's a bump there, then why do you just go that fast there? I don't understand. So what I would do is I wouldn't even try and do the corner normally. So I would do the jump and then slow down, square up, and then go. Because that way, if I did hit the bump, I would be going slow. And if I didn't, I would have a straight line, quite smooth section of the track here. So time-wise, yes, it's faster to just do it perfectly, but the risk is too high once again. So see, it looks like a weird line, really. But it was something that I noticed when I walked the track, and I decided I would do that. And I tried to do that every lap. So tight on the straight, tight in that corner, jump on the inside, square up, and then when I know I'm on the right line, then I gas it. Here, drive around the bumps, drive around the bumps, stay wide, drive around the bumps. And this line also, this is something that also surprised me watching many other drivers. Because if you drove here next to this pipe and just continued straight, you would drive between two bumps. Then you made a tight corner here and you could accelerate straight into the whoops or whatever you call this. What did they call it on the stream? The anti-rhythm section. But I actually made it a rhythm section because I tried to go between those bumps every lap. And then when I saw I was between them, then I would turn. And then I had a straight line to the whoops. And I kind of knew what speed to hit them. I sort of doubled in, I think it is, and then kept a steady throttle. And watch, I think this was a decent pass through them. You see that? And then you just sort of, you have to look at the car and then respond, like add a bit more throttle or let off a bit, but you sort of keep the throttle on, keep the momentum moving forward. And yeah, I thought my car was really easy to drive and sort of it actually calmed me down. I was nervous in the beginning and I've had this issue where my hands start shaking, but now the car was somehow so stable and safe feeling that it gave me confidence, and my hands stopped shaking and I felt safe driving the car. And here you can see that even in a situation like this in the whoops, here I wanted to get past this guy before the corner. I didn't want to have an issue here in the jump section, so I went a bit faster. And you can see that the car starts bouncing, but this kind of reaction of the car, I still felt like it was under control. So whenever it would start to bounce, I wasn't afraid that it would flip over. So if we think about the setup I had, the things that help in a situation like that is I had the front knuckle in the middle, I had the upper link long and up on the tower, I had the diff low, I had more caster 2. Those are all things that help in a situation like that. So the car was good in the whoops, but if something went wrong, I also had a bit of a safety buffer in a sense that I knew I would have time to react and try and save it. And also the shock setup really helped with that. So the smaller piston in the rear and the 5-hole setup. The oil felt like you could feel the oil when you move the suspension, so it was thick feeling, and that helps to slow down the responsiveness of the car.